Welcome to the After the Show podcast today. Tomorrow will be the one about color analysis, ladies, I promise you. But today, Murphy's got some excitement.
I had a really cool phone call that I didn't get to tell you about yet, Jodi. And Sam, I haven't had a chance to tell you either, but, Jodi's been home with me. You haven't.
Yeah.
So as you remember, when my dad passed away, and it took my brother and sister and I a couple of years to really get things squared away. And there were only a handful of things that my dad had that were just like real prized family possessions. Mm-hmm. The rest, it was just very, my family, it was a family of modest means. And
except that one prize that was in our carport for a bit.
His Corvette, his 66, which was his pride and joy, and it stopped running in, wait for it, 1982. Actually, it stopped running before that. So he basically mothballed it. It stayed covered. Every now and then he would take the cover off and polish it up and whatever. As he got older, he stopped doing that.
Oh,
his intention was to at some point fix it up.
I don't ever really know what his intention was. And when you would ask him about it, I think we got to the place where we stopped asking him about it because we didn't want to make him feel bad. I really wanted to know the real reason. And he never really said why.
That red Corvette was the white elephant.
Yeah.
Or not white elephant, but elephant in the room. It was. Because I even knew, after I became part of the family, just don't talk about it. It's in the carport. It's covered. We're not going to go there.
Just walk past it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because it was his baby, and if he didn't want it to run and he wanted to keep it, that was his business, right? Mm-hmm. And we really wanted to keep it in the family. It was a 66 candy apple red, I guess the best way to describe it. The paint was a little bit faded on it, but not too bad up in the front. And it was not running. And then my sister and brother and I realized, okay, practicality is what's kicking in here. It's going to take money and expertise to put this thing back up and running again. That's not something that we have, the ability, time, or otherwise to do. And then once you do that, how do you can't title a vehicle to three people. Right. You know what I mean? So there was like how are we going to manage that part of it? And because even not running, and it was a Corvette, to buy the others out would be pricey for one of us. Because that's one thing about me and my siblings is we were absolutely fair about everything. I feel so blessed that the transition with ultimately selling the Corvette, selling our childhood home. Couldn't have been a more peaceful experience for all of us because nobody was trying to jockey for more than a fair share. That's just kind of the way we were raised, and I guess we're blessed that that's how things went. So we ultimately decided to sell the Corvette. It was my sister who said, "Hey, it sat at his house for 40 years. It's been sitting at yours for 3. maybe, it would be better put to use by somebody who's passionate and would love to have it." And
Thank goodness she said that because I didn't want to be the one to say it. It was in our carport, and I walked past it every day, and I thought,
yeah. So
here we are,
So we go back 2 years ago, and we did a podcast on that here 2 years ago, and there was a gentleman that we sold it to who that's what he does. Well, he restores vehicles. He's a Corvette fanatic. He also wholesales vehicles, and so he was excited.
Man, he was so happy the day he picked that thing up.
Yeah,
and drove it not drove it, but put it on the what do you call that?
Trailer.
Okay.
What do you call the thing with wheels that runs behind a vehicle?
But it's for a car.
Yes.
It was a trailer specifically made for car. I'll shut up.
But this is where I'm going. With this is the story. As I began to learn, and I guess I knew this from when my dad would go to car shows, but when you're a fanatic about certain things, it's not just Corvettes. There are people that love muscle cars. There are people that love Model A's. There are people that love, 57 Chevys, whatever. Most of the common bond between these collectors or hobbyists is they love the stories behind the vehicles. They don't just want the vehicle; they want to know what the story is. And so, when the gentleman who bought it from us, bought it to renovate it, we told him all the stories, and then he wound up selling it about
pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty quickly. About 6 months later,
he flipped it.
But,
he just it's new.
And so I had never really been in contact with the gentleman who bought the car from him. Now that it's running, because when I called, I was calling to check and see, hey, if it's running, we'd love to come see it. He had originally sent me videos at one point, the first guy who bought it from us. And he said, yeah, he said, I love it. He said, but I sold it. He said, it was a tough decision. I have a white 63 Corvette or whatever that his wife really enjoyed, or the 66. And he just decided to sell it. And the gentleman that he bought it from actually lives closer to us than the original, seller. He lives maybe, Jodi, 30 miles.
The man who
here.
bought it from him, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the man who has it now.
Yeah. So I made contact with him for the very first time this past weekend, and it was a fun, awesome conversation. And this is what I enjoyed about it too. He loves the stories about it. His whole thing about it is that, and it wasn't, so it's running, it runs great. It was, mostly restored, but he did not want the paint messed with because it's original paint. I can't blame him for that. And so he drives it on a regular basis now.
Oh, wow.
That's what
and loves
blows my mind.
Yeah.
He drives this around. Like, we need to go to where he lives, and I just want to drive around. I want to see that car coming my way.
Yeah, I'm sure he will do that. Well, his whole thing was he was really happy to hear from me because, again, he loves the stories. And what makes this so unique, to him is that, A, it's a vehicle that's only had technically 2 previous owners. The guy who bought it from us really just fixed it and sold it. But, my dad bought that car in 1969, so he was the longest owner of it.
Yeah.
He drove you to kindergarten in it, didn't he?
Which was my last memory of the car. And that's a story that I actually, told the guy when I reached out to him. I was
Love
like,
it.
hey, the last time I remember that thing running was when I was 5 years old.
How cool was your dad rolling up to kindergarten, dropping you off?
Yeah.
All the kindergarten teachers must have been like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Well, but think about it, and this is
at
a really good, point. So the gentleman that bought the car, his name is Kevin. Kevin was telling me that he also likes to keep things as original as he can. Not all things can be. The original carburetor is what they were all looking for, and the original carburetor is one that I wish it had been. I don't know if it was. There was so much stuff, and my grandfather was one who had collected a lot of car parts over the years, and my dad, after my grandfather and grandmother passed, he wound up with those at his house. It was impossible to discern, some of this stuff.
Is this what you think you threw away?
Well, I mean, yeah, I hate to admit that to anybody. I think that it's possible, but there were also, there were carburetors from Cadillacs. There were carburetors from Fords. It's
Wow, it's a lot of carburetors.
And honestly, I know that there are people that do this on eBay, and I hate to admit it because somebody's cringing right now.
That's okay.
But I don't know. And the reason I don't know truly is he replaced it in the late 70s. It's very possible that it was long gone. And when Kevin and I were talking about that, it was 1978 or whatever. My dad wasn't going to think, don't get rid of this. It's original
coming.
On a 9-year-old car, Even outside of eBay, it wasn't an antique in 1977, 78, whenever it was that he fixed it, And so he had to replace the carburetor again. And that story was my dad. Actually, it was one of the things that scared him most. It failed while he was driving on the interstate. This is in the late 70s, and the car floored itself, and he could not get it unstuck. Now, this is in the days of absolute 100% mechanical. There's nothing computer controlled. Nothing computer controlled on that car. Everything's a cable that attaches to something else. You push a pedal, it's pulling a cable, it's moving another piece of metal. That's how cars were before computers. And so it floored, and he literally had to just turn the engine off. Which he was really concerned about that creating other sets of damage, but he couldn't.
To save himself.
He was doing 100 miles an hour, and it was out of control. He had to turn it off.
Oh, I didn't know he was doing 100.
Well, he didn't intend to be.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay.
And the thing is, interstate was still under construction, and the barricades were only about half mile away. So he didn't have a choice.
Dang.
But anyway.
Wow.
So the conversation went on about that, and he understood that, but he was really... a couple of things he loved. There's a photo of me and my dad at the car, and we might have used that when we posted the podcast 2 years ago.
We can use it
I was
again.
in diapers,
Yeah.
and my dad was washing the car, And so I've shared that photo with him. My dad saved everything, so I've shared the original ad from the Pontiac dealer that was selling the Corvette at that time.
Don't you have the
So
receipt
cool.
too?
Yeah, I do have the receipt.
So cool.
And I think we found the original receipt for the car. I don't know how that paperwork wound up coming in, but the original dealership was only 40 miles down the road. So the car has never been out of the state.
Yeah.
It's ever since it was delivered to the car dealer in 66 and then resold at another car dealer in 69. It's been around. And that's something that this new owner finds, again, really cool. It's the story as much as it is, because this car, and it just occurred to me this weekend, it's 60 years old. It's a 66. It's a 60-year-old vehicle.
It is.
And it's in incredibly original, great shape because he took such great care of it. So it's really a find for anybody who would, who's the enthusiast who wants to buy it. And he's not trying to do this as a show car either, which I find interesting too, because
He could.
I learned
almost.
so much. I learned so much about that whole process and the people that we talked to who were all interested in buying it. There are some enthusiasts that want it completely restored to its original state. And when you do that, you're investing a lot of money. In many cases, you're investing more money than the car is worth. So it takes somebody who's really got means to do that and doesn't mind doing that, because you're not going to recoup that investment, because you're pouring so much into it. But that's the show car thing. That's you want the ribbon and the metal, and you want to be able to take it around. You're probably not really driving it as much as you are putting it on a trailer and taking it and showing it. That's not what Kevin wants to do. Kevin just wants to drive and enjoy the vehicle, and in his mind, he's driving it through my dad's eyes, as he can only imagine what my dad was feeling, thinking, and doing when he had the car.
That is so exciting.
It's one reason he's not restoring the air conditioning yet that's in it, because And the radio wasn't working, unfortunately. It's an FM AM radio from its time, but he did have to replace that, but he kept the original because he wanted some music. But that's what he said that he's experiencing, and that's what he really thinks is cool. For him, it's the pure story, it's the nostalgia. And I felt that when I was talking to him. That's what I was really into the conversation, because for one thing, he's excited about somebody he never met, but that's my dad. And I know how much my dad loved that car. And as a Corvette enthusiast, Kevin knows that same thing. Those vehicles all have stories, and it's very special to those. And then, to those who own them and buy them. Yeah. And so I can't wait to meet him. We're going to have a chance to meet him. And hopefully, and I'll shoot video of it if we get to. I want to hear the car, crank. Yeah. If he allows me to drive it, great. That's wonderful if he does. If he doesn't, that's not a problem either.
That's a great attitude to have, because it's his car now.
Well, yeah, it absolutely is.
I'm willing to bet he's going to let you drive it.
Well, and it's one of those where that, Jodi. I'm not always the most practical person in the world. But there's no place to park this at home. It's 60 years old. It will have mechanical failures. And are you really going to drive on the daily? So Kevin doesn't live in the heart of town. So most of his driving is not going to be city driving.
He's outskirts.
Right. And
going to be flooring it.
Well, he just doesn't have to worry about as much traffic or dings or other. It's a fiberglass body that's 60 years old. It's not like you're going to source parts for this thing.
Right.
And so, but I'm really glad that he's enjoying it, because that's really what it's about. That's what my sister, said, and she was right about that. The other part of this is our friend Steven, who listens to this podcast on a regular basis and is also a freelance writer. Well, he's an EMT. He's the tech who, sent us the text the other day about the CPR stuff. But he is an aviation enthusiast. He's a car enthusiast. I think we've talked about him on the podcast here before, too. Great guy. He's been writing an article, and I feel partially bad about this, but I'm glad I was able to finally hook everybody up. He wants to tell that story as part of a Corvette article in a magazine. And and again, it's because the enthusiasts connect on those stories. It's so much more than just the vehicle and the muscle power or whatever it is that you love. There's no wrong way to love that sort of antique. But it's so many stories wound up in it. I get it now. And that's why when they get together and they have these car shows, which are not always just like, polished up and show car. You're just getting together with a group of Corvette fanatics or whatever. And that's what they do. They share stories. They share their vehicles. They love to see the vehicles. And so this is another natural, I think, extension. And this is going to sound really ethereal, but my dad would love that.
Of course.
I think my dad would really love knowing, he would think, in his words, it would be
cool.
Yeah, it would be that's cool or that's fine.
That's
right.
fine.
Or mighty fine,
Mighty
actually.
fine.
Yeah, it was exactly what
Mighty
he said.
fine.
Right.
He would say it just like that.
Yeah.
So you never, since it stopped running at 82, you never actually have driven it, even like when your dad had it.
No, No, I was way too little to drive it, when it was still running. I was nowhere close to getting a driver's license. I think we all wanted to. We hoped. We all sat in it as kids. He would take the cover off and let us sit in it. We thought that was cool.
I sat in it 2 years ago, whenever it was right before, whatever, it was purchased and before it left our carport. I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's tight. It's comfy and cozy, but very different from the vehicles of today.
How so?
It's like going back in time, sitting in that car.
Yeah.
Well,
but not in an old timey big car way, like you're not in control. It felt like a little cockpit,
yeah,
or something.
It's I don't know that ergonomic is the right word, but it's not as ergonomic as today's cars would be. It sits really low, and everything is mechanical. So to drive that, if I get the chance to do that, there's no power steering, there's no power brakes, there's no power assisted clutch. These are all. I mean, it's a heavy-duty spring. I remember my dad telling me one time being stuck in traffic was brutal on his left foot because you're just constantly having to push the clutch in and kick it back into neutral. All the manual stuff.
Manual.
Yeah. It's not. I mean, I'm sure today's Corvettes, but that was. I don't even know if they offered an automatic in that one back then. But it's a 4-speed.
Yeah.
And so everything about that is like manual shifting, manual steering. You can't turn that steering wheel when it's parked. Because it's a beast. It weighs a lot.
It would be hard to mentally, how you mental, what do you call it? Muscle memory drive. You just drive without thinking about it.
Yeah.
You have to think about driving that car.
Yeah. And I guess, again, I'm speaking not as an enthusiast, so I'm sure that Stephen or others could say the fiberglass body is one thing that made it lighter than it, would have otherwise been with a metal body, because it's pure steel underneath in the chassis and all that. But the outer, structure of the vehicle, it's fiberglass, which is so much lighter, which allowed the vehicle to travel faster. Mm-hmm. And his was the base model version of it. They have an even more souped up version that was popular at its time.
I know they had a split window in the back.
Yeah.
That's not what Dane had. That's not the one.
Yeah, his wasn't the split back. His was, so. And, but anyway, it was a really cool connection for somebody who I've never met.
Mm-hmm. I like
Great
him already.
Stories, and now I'm excited to see it. But he is in love with the vehicle. He didn't just buy it. He is absolutely in love with the vehicle. The stories, he said he's not replacing the AC because he imagines that's how my dad would drive sometimes in the summer. I'm like, you know what? Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I don't know if the AC. I don't remember as a kid if the AC was working in that car or not. It might not have been.
You don't remember because you were in a diaper.
Well, yeah, that's right, exactly. So
when are y'all going to go drive it?
Trying to visit. In the coming weeks, we'll do that. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to coordinate that with my brother and sister. Trying to get everybody together at the same time is a little bit tricky, but we'd like to all see it at the same time. So we'll make it a family trip and let you know how it goes, and we'll take pictures.
So sweet.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.